If you're looking to join the United States Army or get information about Army basic training, I got you. My mission here on Team SWARTZ is to help you navigate the joining process into the United States Army, helping you make a well-informed decision on whether or not we would be a good fit for you, for your reasons and your reasons alone, and to prepare yourself for Army basic training, thus increasing your survival rate. Welcome to the Team SWARTZ On Demand podcast. My name is Lewis, your local New York Army National Guard's full-time recruiter and part-time drill sergeant in New York City. That is by day, but in my free time, like now, I come on here to create videos on joining the Army and getting ready for Army basic training. Disclaimer, this is not sponsored or endorsed or supported by DOD, the United States Army, or the Army National Guard. Anything expressed in this video and others is that of my own opinions, experiences, insights, tips, and tricks, and that of others.
Here we go. What's going on, y'all? Happy freaking New Year. Welcome to episode 1 of 2023 here on the Team SWARTZ On Demand podcast. My name is Lewis, your full-time New York Army National Guard recruiter by day, but on evenings and weekends and in my free time, I am an Army content creator. With that being said, here on Team SWARTZ, my mission is here to help you navigate the joining process into the United States Army as a whole, so that you can make a well-informed decision on whether or not we would be a good fit for you or not, for your reasons and your reasons alone, and to prepare you for Army basic training. With that being said, welcome to the Team SWARTZ podcast. All right. Anything you want to talk about the joining process into the Army or to prepare yourself for basic training, got questions about that, this is what this is all about. All right. So with that being said, the disclaimer before we begin and move forward, this channel is a personal page by every means possible. It is not sponsored, supported by, or endorsed by the United States Army, DOD, Army National Guard, or any other government entity for that matter. All right. I am representing Lewis, and these are based on my views, insights, tips, and tricks, and things of that of others that I am sharing here on the channel to help you through all the above. So welcome to the stream. Welcome to a brand new year. With that being said, we got a lot of comments in here, and if you're new here, welcome to the channel. If that's what you're into, consider subscribing, turning on all notifications so you don't miss anything. I post videos, hopefully weekly, religiously live stream every week, every Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m. unless I'm out of town and obviously not here in my makeshift home studio. That being said, let me know what state you are tuning in from if this is your first time here. And if you're one of my repeat or loyal Team SWARTZ squad members, go ahead and drop down that hashtag Team SWARTZ. Appreciate y'all. So without further ado, we are going to get started. We already have a Jesus. We got a super chat coming in here from Luis Rodriguez. And if you're new here, I go from the oldest comment, working my way up to the latest and greatest, most recent comment. You do not have to repeat your comment or question multiple times. I go in the order of oldest to newest. With that being said, if you do give a super chat like Luis Rodriguez here, also a channel, no, not a channel member, but I go to that super chat, I put it on display like I did here, and I address your question or comment immediately. But with that being said, he says, happy belated birthday, great content. When will the vaccine policy be completely updated so I can enlist with no issues? Will it come back? So first question, the Pentagon actually approved it today. DOD approved it, not just the president signing off on it. So DOD approved it. Now it's up to each branch of service to publish its updated policy, allowing people like you to be recruited. Now, whether or not it will be re-implemented in the future, that is up in the air. Anything could happen. However, I do see that at some point in the future, that it could possibly come back and be a mandatory requirement, kind of like the flu shot that we get on an annual basis. But for enlistment purposes, for recruiting, that is going to be in the next probably 30 days or less. All right. So he had 30 days. Secretary of the Army signed it today for DOD. I would imagine that within the next 30 days or less, probably within the next couple of weeks, each branch of service will be dropping their updated policies, allowing people like you to join. Now, I address your second question as well, so I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Man, that was all right. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, man. Definitely did not have to do that. And nobody has to give me a super chat. All right. It's just on because it's on, but I do appreciate it when people do. I do reinvest it back into the channel. So without further ado, let's go right up, starting from the top with the oldest comment coming in from Damian V. What can you do if you're married and have some debt, but you want to join? Like if you have a car payment and a motorcycle payment. All right. So having debt in of itself is not going to be an issue. All right. So don't concern yourself with that. What we are concerned with when you're going through the enlistment process is negative debt, collections, late payments, charge-offs, things of that nature. That is things that are going to be negatively impacting your credit report. All right. We're not concerned about your credit score. Again, we're concerned with your credit history, negative credit history. So if you have large sums that are in collections, you are late, or maybe you're chronically late, that's going to be an issue. Now, if you have things in collections and it's minor, less than $2,000, get yourself on a payment plan, even if it's just $10 a month. You must and need to be on a payment plan. Get that in writing. You call them up. They're going to play hardball. They're going to want all the money, right? You're going to have some financial gurus out there saying that you don't have to pay off that debt because it's not yours. They sold it off to a third party, yada, yada, yada. In the military, when joining, if you're going for a secret clearance or higher, this is going to be more important. If you're a regular soldier, you just need to be on a payment plan. But not getting into the nitty-gritty details, you need to get a payment plan. You call them up, you're like, hey, listen, I want to do right. I want to get on a payment plan. All I can afford is $10 a month. They're going to be like, well, we want $50 a month. I'm like, well, I just want $10 a month. Whatever you agree to, get it in writing. All right. Beggars can't be choosers. So if you stick to your gun and say, all I can afford right now is $10 a month, when I increase my pay or whatever, I can just pay it off when I get it. But for right now, I just want to get on a payment plan for $10 a month. And I need this in writing via email. Have them send that to you via email that you're paying monthly, $10 a month, whatever it may be. And then you can use that after you print it out to show in good faith that you are, being a responsible adult. Okay. The reason being is if you have negative debt and you have large sums of debt that is negatively impacting you, that it's, what do we call it? You could be possibly easily influenced by the wrong people to be susceptible to bribery and such. All right. So just food for thought. But based on what you're sharing with me, that of itself is not going to be an issue as long as it's current. All right. Auto loans, student debt, home loan, mortgage type stuff, all normal debt as long as it's not in default. Thomas Drake, is the TAPAS test waiverable? If so, at what score do you have to have? Hashtag Team Swartz. Thank you very much for the hashtag Team Swartz. Appreciate you. Now, in most cases, the TAPAS is not required. In this, in the event that your TAPAS score is required, then you need a 100 in your will do portion of the TAPAS. All right. There's will do and there's can do. You will do everything. All right. So just keep that in mind. But good question. I don't get that a lot. So that's a good question. Elizabeth K made it to your live. Finally. Happy New Year. All right. Appreciate you, Elizabeth. Happy New Year to you and your family. Thank you very much for tuning in. NASCAR fan says, so when my contract ends, can I reclass into a new MOS? If so, do I have to go back to AIT? So that's going to be dependent on your AIT, your advanced individual training. But yes, at the end of your contract, when you're sitting down with the battalion career counselor, that's a really, really good time to renegotiate your contract, either changing your unit and or your MOS. And as far as being AIT, so if you're on active duty, more than likely you'll go to an AIT, or you may be sent like Guard and Reserve. It's pretty typical to go to an RTI, a Regional Training Institute, where you do like your MOS in phases. It could be anywhere from like 1 to 4 different phases, a few weeks here, a few weeks there, whatever. And that could be how they implement that as well. All right, just FYI. Good question. I don't get that a lot. I like that. LA says, how do you get through basic without being sad for being away from your family? I talk about this in my basic training preparation video. And I actually have a video around being homesick. So if you just type in Team Swartz homesickness, you'll find that video. But in the basic training preparation video, I suggest, or maybe it's the packing video. It's one of those two. I'm going to post them both here in the chat box, but they're also conveniently located down below in the description area for you to watch later on. But I suggest for you yourself, bring laminated photos, tasteful photos, nothing in like swim gear or, that sexy lingerie or anything like that. It's got to be tasteful. Like, think about it, if you're going to church type stuff, you know what I'm saying? So it's got to be tasteful photos. Get them laminated so if they get wet, they won't get ruined, and you can pull them out of your wallet anytime you want to see it. Most locations at the moment are giving you phone privileges just about every Sunday for about 10 to 30 minutes, sometimes upwards to an hour and a half, depending on how well you guys perform and how your drill sergeants feel and all that good stuff. It's up to your unit. So keep in mind that cell phones or phone privileges in of itself is a privilege, not a right. So don't expect any phone time. If you do, Merry freaking Christmas and Happy New Year. So you'll get phone privileges, like I said, on a weekly basis. At worst case scenario, in most cases, traditionally, every time you phase up to the next phase, that's when you usually get phone privileges. But I think most locations at this time are still doing weekly. In fact, Fort Jackson announced about a month or so ago that they're adding a second day during the week to implement or incorporate phone privileges. So every Wednesday and Sundays, you'll be getting phone privileges. So unless you guys mess that up, you guys got lots of phone time. I disagree with it, but it is what it is. Time for games. Here we go. What's up, y'all? What's up? Luis Rodriguez says, again, hashtag Team Swartz is 17 Charlie at 31 kilos, still a unicorn MOS in the New York National Guard. So we don't have any 17 Charlies in the state of New York, and 31 kilo, if I'm not mistaken, is K9 unit. All right. That's only when you're deployed. So you're going to have to go in as a 31 Bravo, which is military police. And if you're ever deployed to, let's say, Guantanamo Bay, which we do every once in a while, then yes, you could be sent to reclass school to become a K9 military policeman. And then you'll serve as that for the deployment and the deployment only. So, but yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Anna Ventura, hashtag Team Swartz. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Is it too late if you are 37 years old to join active duty? No, it is not too late. Getting an age exception to a policy waiver is really easy up until your 40th birthday. 40 to about 42, 44, worst case scenario is extremely rare. Most recruiters won't even attempt it because a lot of them are denied. Now, we got some waiver training last week, and they're saying that if it's over 40 and they're under 44, full send. So as long as you do your waiver properly, then you have a pretty good chance of getting it approved. But 35 to 40 is easy as sin. 99.9% of them, if not all of them, actually, with the way they said it was at the training, all but one was approved. For whatever reason, I don't remember. I don't recall what the reasoning was, if they even gave a reason, but all but one got approved. Angel Rojas, what's up? Hey, Drill Sergeant, I want to say I got back from OSA and your videos helped me. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. So glad that you found my videos helpful, and great job. Keep up the great work and best luck in the next chapter of your Army career. That's awesome. I love it. OTG, yo, I'm about to take the DLAB test. What should I expect and what can help me prepare? Now, you might be able to find something on Google that is going to help you find or express a way to take the test. But from my understanding, it's giving you a made up language. So they're basically giving you a few basic rules, and they want to see how well you adapt those rules to a make-believe language and do well enough to basically pass a test. So I don't really think it's too much that you could really study, but I'm sure you can find a few videos on YouTube. I know I looked up a few because I was going to do a video on it, just never got around to it. So if you do find something that's helpful and you pass it, let me know. I'll be more than happy to share it with the rest of us. Appreciate you. Thank you very much and good luck. Hector Flores, I am currently working on joining the Kansas National Guard. Hell yeah. Excellent choice, if I may say so myself. Benjamin Arndt, how is it going? It's going pretty well. It's a brand new year. New year, new me stuff is going on. A little delayed on the new me or new year, new me fitness plan because we had our annual conference last week. I'm going away for a vacation this week, so I'm not going to be able to hit the gym hard and diet and all that stuff until next Monday. But stay tuned for more. For shizzle. Mark Brown, thank you for all your help. I was able to graduate Fort Sill, finish AIT Fort Lee, and I'm now at my first duty station, J-Bar, Alaska. Ooh, Alaska must be a lot of fun. Let me know about those Northern Lights. My mom wants to go up there and watch the Northern Lights, but I hear there's a season for it that's best. So let me know. Appreciate you and good luck and congratulations. Anthony says, hey, New Jersey is here. Hell yeah. Welcome to the stream. I'm assuming this is your first time here. So welcome to the stream. Let's see. Chris Roberts, rather. Erie, Pennsylvania. And thank you for your videos. You helped me out a lot in deciding to join up. Wow. Appreciate that. Good luck to you. Gil Gonzalez, first time viewer from Georgia. Hell yeah. Welcome to the stream. Thank you very much. Canado Henry, hello. My recruiter told me that my moral waiver got to the battalion. How long does it normally take for approval? Now, I'm not sure if you're going active duty reserve or if you're going National Guard, but depending on the level of your moral waiver, then it could take upwards to like 180 days, worst case scenario. But the average is like 45 to 90 days with like a couple of weeks, best case scenario. LA also asks, how long does it take to get promoted to specialist if you enlist as an E3? Last time I checked, it was like 18 to 24 months. But you got to understand, for E4 and below, once you get to your unit of assignment, and if you have good work ethic and you're good at your job and basically you're a stellar soldier, then they could easily do a waiver to get you to specialist E4 like that. Example, I graduated from basic training. They advanced me to E2. During my annual training later that summer, they advanced me to E3, private first class. At the annual training the following month in August, when we had our barbecue, they said, hey, Private Swords, take off your PFC rank, put your E2 back on. We're going to formally promote you in front of everybody. Instead of recognize me as a private or promoting me to private first class during my annual training, they actually advanced me to the rank of specialist. So I got a couple of waivers there in the beginning of my career. And that could also happen to you as long as you are a good soldier. So always do your best, put your best foot forward, and forget the rest. Time for games. Do you have an idea on how to check to see if there are slots available for MOS jobs? So for civilians like you, no, there's nothing available, right? That is something that only the guidance counselors and maybe active duty recruiters can have like I mean, I could look it up, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's 100% available, but I could do like a temporary reservation is what we call it, but we're not allowed to do temporary reservations in my state. But for National Guard, the guidance counselor, and if they have like a recruiting operations center like we do, then they could have full access to and see in the system what is available. All right. But good question. But nothing for civilians like you. All right. Christian Aries, I am 29 from Pennsylvania and I have MEPS next week to join the National Guard. I'm super nervous just thinking about it. So Christian, I would prefer you not to be nervous. I mean, I perfectly understand why you could possibly be nervous because it is a big deal. This is a big decision and should not be taken lightly. But take an honest assessment. Are you nervous or are you excited? Because like anxiousness or nervousness and excitement have the same signs and symptoms. It's just mentally we say it's one or the other. Sometimes if you are nervous, you could trick yourself in saying that you're excited and vice versa, but it's the same signs or symptoms. So figure out what it is that you're nervous about. Is it the fear of the unknown and not knowing what to expect? And obviously, unlike buying a car or anything else, like there's no return policy. Like you can't like sign it and then do like a 2-week notice and be like, hey, deuces, I'm out, right? You have to honor your contract until the very end, unfortunately. So with that being said, best of luck to you. All right. Don't sign a contract if you definitely don't want to do it, because like I said, once you sign that contract, at least for the National Guard, it is a legal binding document. Reserve, initially, you'll be in a delayed entry program unless they automatically enroll you into paid status in the Army Reserve, which then will give you military status. If you're signing an active duty contract, your contract legally does not start until the day you go back to MEPS or self-report to basic training and you do the oath of enlistment ceremony, either at MEPS the day you ship or at the training site when you do your oath of enlistment once you self-report to the reception battalion. So just throw that out there for you. But good luck to you and congrats for your decision to serve. Truck Bucket, it's not talking to me. LA, is there a station for 88K in Tampa? I'm not really sure, but I'll tell you what, if you contact your local National Guard recruiter in Florida, they'll be able to tell you if they have any 88 kilos. And what is the difference between National Guard and regular Army? Well, the biggest difference is regular Army is full-time active duty. They can send you anywhere in the world unless you're one of the lucky ones that can contract for first duty station of choice. Other than that, it's based on the needs of the Army. National Guard and Reserve, you primarily will serve locally. All right. On rare occasions, super rare, Reserve could station you in another state. But that's neither nor here. I have a couple of videos for you. National Guard versus Reserve coming up right now. Also, like I said, in the description area. And full-time National Guard. That's not working. Anyway, it's linked down below. But if you want to know what the difference between Guard and active duty versus Guard Reserve, that's coming up. So both of those videos are coming in the chat box for you. Go check those out at your leisure. Again, they're linked down below in the description area if you want to watch them later. But those are the major differences. Caleb Green, hashtag Team Swortz, tuning in from upstate New York. Hell yeah. Thank you. Appreciate you. Welcome to the stream. Truck Bucket, Henry. Oh, it's not for me. Caleb says that. NASCAR fan says, can you talk about what may be better with the Army active duty or reserve? So I pretty much discussed that in that video I just posted about active duty versus National Guard Reserve. And I'll put it to you this way. Active duty is full-time, and as previously described, hopefully you can get a duty station of choice, but if that doesn't work, you have to understand that it's based on the needs of the Army. And historically, every 2 to 3 years, they will PCS you, meaning they will move you uproot you and move you to a new region in the world and to continue your Army contract at the needs of the Army. If you're lucky, depending on the MOS you have, you'll get next duty station of choice. When you're in the Guard or Reserve, you have a little bit more flexibility to be able to choose to where you serve as long as they have your MOS, right? So in the Guard, you can literally grow throughout your same unit, but at some point, you may become stagnant and may have to choose a different zone or a different area to get promoted or advance up in the ranks. So my advice to you, whether it is going active duty or part-time, is to be as flexible as possible. The more flexible you are, the further you are, or the further that you'll go rather within the organization that you're joining. So having a good attitude, good work ethic, always going above and beyond what is expected of you, and becoming that go-to reliable soldier, you'll be afforded opportunities galore. All right. If you are a minimalist that only does the bare minimum and you're still successful, then yeah, you'll still grow, but you won't grow as fast or have as many opportunities afforded to you. So it's always best to be your best version of yourself every single day. There are going to be challenging days mentally and physically, but always put your best foot forward. Benjamin says that he's tuning in from, I think that's Wisconsin. NASCAR says Team Swortz, appreciate you. LA says, if I'm applying for my parents' residency, will it affect them if I get married before trying to get their residency? No, not at all. Marriage has nothing to do with you applying for their citizenship. You're good to go. Mr. and Mrs. Cruz, my husband leaves Monday for basic training. What paperwork does he have to bring? They told him only ID, social security card, and debit card, and green card if applicable, but that's the bare minimum. That's all he needs to bring with him, period. Hashtag I'm just saying. If you watch my basic training packing video, which is coming in the chat box now, again, the link down below in the description area, that's all he needs to leave. Now, what I would do is I would bring a copy of your lease or your mortgage. So regardless if you're married, you still need to provide proof that you're paying for rent or a mortgage. If you don't, then you're only going to get base pay regardless if you're married. In the past, before they changed this rule, if you were married, you got housing allowance. Now it's you only get housing allowance if you have a rental agreement / lease or a mortgage. Now, if you happen to be married, then that will go and change it from a single BAH housing allowance rate to a dependent rate, which is significantly higher depending on the region of the country you live in. So for example, last time I checked, here in New York City, housing allowance was like a little over $3,000. Let's say $3,300. So if you had dependents, that's $3,600 and change. So that's very important to have a lease or a mortgage. So sometimes your recruiter or the guidance counselor doesn't, whatever, things happen. Things fall out of the, I don't know, whatever. My advice to you is to bring a copy of your lease or your mortgage. Even though it may be in your shipper's packet, you provided it before you left, bring it with you. Outside of that, you are good to go. You don't need to bring anything else. A good question. Truck bucket. Anyone shipping? That's not for me. And join as a human resources specialist. What are your thoughts on 42 Alpha? Well, that's how I started in my career. If you're going active duty, that would probably be pretty cool because you'll probably do it more often than I did as a National Guard soldier in a field artillery company. Most of the time, it will be the full-timers, the full-time admin and readiness NCO that will do a lot of that administrative work. The one time I did do administrative work, I was typing up awards. True story. There I was on 9/11. That morning, I was literally typing up like 100 to 150 awards. And as a private, not completing basic training in AIT, I didn't know what the difference was between an Army Achievement Medal, an AAM, versus an RCOM, which is a higher value award. So I was giving everybody RCOMs. Apparently, they needed to be getting AAM. So I jacked up like 75 different awards right before 9/11 happened, unfortunately. But yeah, so 42 Alpha is a good MOS. It's a combat support MOS that will come with a good amount of college credit. So if you want to do something similar when you get out of the Army, if you're going active duty and you want to find a job outside of the Army, that is a really good MOS to have. Anything combat support is going to help you when you leave the Army. If you're going combat arms, it's a cool, fun MOS, but do it for 3 to 6 years. After that, reclass to a combat support MOS, just so that you can set yourself up for leaving the Army and having real skill set and experience and training, sometimes certifications that can translate to the civilian sector. But that's just my 2 cents. LA says, kind of stressed about basic training when it comes to marksmanship. What can I do to prepare for it? Absolutely nothing. The reason why I'm saying absolutely nothing is because I don't want you to pick up bad habits. So if you've watched my basic training mini series, which I doubt you have because you would know this because I talk about it in the white phase video, BCTW for white phase, coming into the chat box. I don't think it's linked down below outside of the actual link that leads to all those videos. But the white phase video will talk to you about BRM, basic rifle marksmanship. And at basic training, we want the drill sergeants to teach you the Army's way. Whether it's the best way or not, it is a way, and it's effective as long as you're doing exactly what it is that you're told. By you borrowing or even going to the rifle range and renting out a rifle and shooting and teaching yourself, you're going to pick up and develop bad habits. So let the drill sergeants do their job. Let them teach you and coach you and mentor you so that you can pass your rifle marksmanship. You have to hit 23 out of 40 targets. It's totally doable, and just be coachable, listen, and don't like over analyze anything. Just listen to your drill sergeant. You'll be all right. John S says, how do you rank up fast in the Army? Coming in as a private first class. Appreciate you. Well, I appreciate you. Appreciate me. How about that? So when it comes to promotions, regardless if you're going in as an enlisted soldier or later on as a commissioned officer in any organization, even in school, what you put into something is what you get out of it. And I'm a firm believer that I forgot something Armstrong, I think is his last name. He said something along the lines that if you strive for perfection, knowing damn well that in the pursuit of perfection, knowing that you'll never be perfect, you'll settle on excellence. And I'm a firm believer that if you go above and beyond in everything and everything that you do, that you will be above average. The world is filled with mediocre people. And when you join the military, just because you join the military, not everybody is high speed go-getter in the Army or in the military in general. So it's very easy for you to stand out for good reasons by actually applying yourself and going above and beyond every single day, being your best version, learning your MOS, being proficient at your MOS, taking it seriously, maybe even doing some correspondence courses or college classes outside of your MOS, and doing things outside of your MOS that's going to help you grow, like becoming a SHARP representative or EO representative. EO meaning your equal opportunity. SHARP is the sexual harassment reporting assault program, and I believe is what it's called. But anyway, we have zero tolerance for sexual assault and harassment. So you could be a representative for that as well. You could become a resiliency instructor, so on and so forth. So you could do things like that is outside of your MOS that not everybody else is going to have, which is going to make you more marketable, get higher evaluations, and be rated above your peers. So just do your best, your absolute best, and you'll go far in this organization. But if you have that, I'm just going to do the minimum mentality, which is can easily be done. So yeah, so you drive the train. But typically, as long as you're a good go-getter when you first get there, within 2 to 3 months, I'm pretty sure they'll advance you to specialist D4 with the waiver. So you're good. There we go. JL Glover with the Q, meaning question. I have joined the Georgia National Guard, and leaving for basic training in February, my recruiter made it seem that I can easily volunteer for deployment and or activation. Is that easy to do so? Yes. You can pretty much figure out which unit in your state is deploying. If they have a need for your MOS, then yes, you can volunteer with that unit. Not automatically, but like as long as your commander is willing to release you for that deployment and you're not flagged for anything like height and weight, PT test, medical, what have you, then yes, you can deploy with that unit. Now, if there's nobody in your state that you're willing to deploy with, or there are no deployments in your state, you can always go to tourofduty.gov, I think is the link. I have it linked in my full-time National Guard video. That is bothering me. Anyway, if you type in the search bar here on YouTube, Team SWARTZ full-time job, you'll find that video. I'm going to look in my quick text here on my phone because that is so weird that's not auto-populating on my keyboard here. It's really bothering me because I know I post it all the time. Full-time. Full-time National Guard Reserve. I think. Oh, yeah, because Reserve is the same thing. Full-time National Guard Reserve. Here we go. Here we go. Coming in the chat box. Again, it's also linked down in the description area. Glad I figured that out. It's probably been a minute since I posted it. But with that said, uno momento, por favor. Okay. One of these days, I'm going to have to get a moderator. But with that being said, moving right along to William Rogers. Shipping out South Carolina on January from Minnesota. Hell yeah. Good luck in basic training. Do your best. Be your best version. Be in the correct uniform. Be on time. Attention to detail and teamwork is the key. LA says truck bucket enlisting soon. Okay. Low Life 477. Finally got to hop on it live. I've learned so much from your videos. And what is the paperwork needed to start the process as a high school student? I'm over 18 already. And he also says hashtag Team SWARTZ. Well, I don't know if it's a he, but this person says hashtag Team SWARTZ. So appreciate you. Thank you very much for tuning in. And to answer your question, just like any other normal applicant, you need your original documents. So your original social security card, your birth certificate, your diploma or education credential, whether it's an official transcript and or a diploma, your passport if you have one, driver's license, state ID if you have one, because you're in high school, you may not have a state ID. If you have a high school ID, we'll need a copy of that as well. If you're a green card holder, we will need your green card. If you're naturalized, that will be in lieu of your birth certificate. So your naturalization certificate, those are the minimum documents needed. Your recruiter will also give you or at least in the Guard, a high school letter that would need to be completed where your guidance counselor will annotate the last day of class. And if you're a junior, the start date of the next school year and so on and so forth. So just throwing that out there for you for food for thought. And that's pretty much it. Just like any other applicant. Appreciate you. And glad I was able to help you out. JM, more about the program for low ASVAB scores. I'm actually in the process of editing the video right here. So if you look right here in the background. This is the video. It didn't focus on it. But this is the video about the 09 mic option. It's about 30 minutes long. I'm debating whether or not I'm going to take out some of my opinions on certain things or whatever. But right now it's 30 minutes long, adding B-roll, sound design, trying to up my quality of the videos. So appreciate you asking. And basically what that is a program so that if you scored 21 and above qualifying line scores, you could still be able to sign your contract and go through a training for either academics or body fat composition to either A, lose fat, or to increase your ASAP score so that you score at 31 or better and be within the normal standards of joining. All right. But more to follow. So stay tuned for that video dropping by the end of next week. So by Thursday, Friday of next week, this video right here that I'm editing right now is going to be posting. But yeah. Appreciate you. All right. So Graybeard says, what do you know about the ACFT rumors? 540 ACFT equals no height and weight. That's not a rumor. That's a fact, Jack. So if you score a 540 and above, then you don't have to worry about being taped. You don't have to worry about your height and weight because you've already proved that you're in shape. So 540 is impressive. So if you could do that, then you don't have to worry about your height and weight. Now, I agree and disagree with that because the whole point of reviewing and looking into revamping the body fat standards and the method of measuring body fat definitely needs to be addressed. I say that because if you're of a certain ethnic group, their body type tends to be different than, say, lack of a better term, white folk, right? So if you're curvy, right? So for a male, you're taped on your neck and your waist. Now I'm skinny fat, me personally. I have a skinny ass neck. I'm cursed with a skinny ass neck and all my fat goes around my midsection. So even if I'm under my maximum weight by 10 pounds, if I were to get taped, I always tape 1 to 2% over. So I have to make height and weight. If I fail height and weight, I am royally screwed. Conversely, if you're a female, you get taped on the neck, the smallest point of your waist, and your hips. So the thicker your neck, the more you can carry down below. So for a female, your waist ratio has to be smaller than your hips. If your hips are big and your waist is big, you're going to fail tape. Some females have wide hips, right? Because you're a female and, you know, childbearing hips. So I feel that females are at a disadvantage. I feel like it needs to be revamped, but, you know, it falls on deaf ears. Apparently the Sergeant Major of the Army, you know, did some research and they found that the current way of doing things is accurate. And I disagree, or they just need to loosen up the standards when it comes to body fat. For I don't know, I don't know the solution to that problem. But with that said, it is what it is, unfortunately, and we just have to abide by the rules, right? But hopefully that addresses your question. Angel Rojas says, if anyone have questions about 31 Bravo, let him know. 9 Saga Films says shipping out on the 17th as 11 Bravo. Ooh, hang on. Where am I at right now? So I know where to go back. So that's 713. We got another super chat coming in here this evening, coming in from Bubba Joe. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. 28, and I am sure I can 540 the ACFT. I have a lump on my knee since a kid. It's called Osgood-Schlatter disease. I have played sports all my life and not many issues. Will I need a waiver or be denied? Now, I think you or somebody else has recently asked me about that question. I've never heard of that Osgood-Schlatter disease. So I would assume it's definitely going to be a disqualifying condition. Whether or not it's waiverable, I'd have to look into it, honestly. I don't even know what it is specifically to let you know, but it would definitely disqualify you. And again, whether or not it's waiverable, I'd have to look at the current DOTI and stuff like that. But your local recruiter can look it up and let you know what's what. But thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you direct message me on Instagram, I'll try to look it up in the next week or so. not going to lie. I'm leaving for vacation, so I'm probably not going to want to do much while I'm gone. Hashtag I'm just saying. Reaper with the hashtag Team Swartz. Appreciate you. In the process of joining the Army, finally finished my laser tattoo removal after 15 sessions. What? That is some serious dedication. I hope to God that you at least passed the ASVAB and the medical exam before you did all that. Woo, I bet you that was costly. Man, I bet you that's costly. Did it scar? Let me know if it scarred for you, and I'll pay attention to the comments on my phone here. Oh, man. Well, hopefully you get in. So may the MEPS gods forever be in your favor if you didn't do the medical and everything else. We got Giuseppe De Rosa here. Yo, with the hashtag Team Swartz. Appreciate you. NASCAR fan says, how long does it take to get paperwork all filled out in the Army to get approved for MEPS even after active duty? So you're asking me about how long does it take to get the paperwork filled out? How fast can you get it to your recruiter? And as long as you're a qualified applicant, it's happening faster rather than later. Now, as far as how long will the MEPS approve your complex pre-screen, if you got medical issues or medical history that's going to be an issue, then that could be up in the air depending on how big your MEPS is. Here, it's on average of 10 to 21 days for a complex pre-screen. Josh Tipton with the 101st. Okay. I don't see any other comment. It's the only one I see, my man. Sorry, man. Kenny, I'm not even going to pronounce that. What happened if you have asthma? If you currently have asthma, permanently disqualified, no waivers authorized. If you had been diagnosed with childhood asthma and since age 13 forward, you have not had an asthma attack, and you can get a letter from your doctor stating that, yes, you were diagnosed with childhood asthma, and there is no record or complaints of breathing issues relating to asthma or any asthma-related incidences since then you're fine. 13 forward is waiverable. All right. Anything less or anything above that, I think you know what the answer is. Ron G, can you explain the program that makes you pass the ASVAB? So taking the program does not make you pass the ASVAB. What happens is, if qualified for the program, you will be sent to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, may expand to other locations as described in this video right here that I will be posting next week by Thursday or Friday. And it will help teach you basic math and English for up to 90 days in paid status. And the intent is to help you score 31 or better. Somehow, people are scoring from obviously the 20s upwards to like 50s and 60s, and on rare occasions in the 80s. I don't know what that's about, but that is a hell of an improvement. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It's called the 09 Mike option, the Future Soldier Preparatory Course. Big Boost. What's up? I still cannot get my CAC because of the brownout period with the IPSA. Do you know how long I have to wait? I enlisted in National Guard October. From my understanding, the bulk of the brownout is done. It's over, but there are certain parts of IPSA that are still having issues. I could find out if the CAC is still an issue, but it shouldn't be, but it's not required to ship out. It's nice to have, but not a requirement to have before you ship out. Just letting you know there, Big Boost. Giuseppe says, dang, it's possible to fail the D-Lab? Yeah, it's possible to fail. It's not that you're failing. You're just not scoring high enough to qualify for that to get a specific MOS, which I think is a 35 Mike or 35 Fox off the top of my head, and maybe some other options. But, yeah. Mokinch Tactical. My friend, hope everything is well. Everything is well. Just a little tired, but I'm still here going strong, answering you guys' question. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Kiana Pasco, welcome back. I recognize your name. Only because my niece, her name is Kiana. But with that being said, here to show you some love. Already signed my contracts at 92 Alpha. I'll be shipping out to Jackson in March. Prior service, I finally got everything I needed for my RSP drills unit. First drill was cool. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Glad you like RSP. Welcome to the National Guard. Great choice, if I may say so myself. Hell yeah. All right. And good luck in basic training. Appreciate you. And thank you for tuning in. Kyle Katarn. Is it true that if we join the Guard, we have to wear ponchos over the wet weather top? I heard it's because guardsmen need to look like guardsmen versus soldiers, and the poncho completes that look. I've never heard of that. And they're not going to make only National Guard soldiers wear one thing and reservists and active duty wear something else. All right. It's called uniformity. And as a drill sergeant, qualified drill sergeant, uniformity. So if one person wears a poncho, everybody's wearing a poncho. If somebody is supposed to be wearing a poncho and you show up to formation and one person forgets to bring the poncho, guess what? Nobody's wearing a poncho. Hashtag I'm just saying. 9 Saga Film says, question, what website can I get the actual Army basic training underwear and t-shirts? Don't worry about that. All right. You may have direct messaged me about this or posted underneath one of my videos on my channel. And as I said previously to that individual, I'm not sure if it was you, don't worry about bringing stuff like that. All that stuff is going to get issued to you at the basic training site. If you decide that you want more of that, you can purchase them at the Troop Exchange store. All right. It'll be cheaper. It will be tax-free than you getting it outside somewhere else. All right. Don't worry about that. You want to bring less. Less is more. Okay. So even at my packing list, I do suggest certain items like stamps. Yes, you could buy that there, but they often run out, you know, things like that. But I don't even want you bringing anything else other than the clothes on your back, maybe one extra pair of socks, underwear, t-shirt, right? Because if you are able to wear civilian clothes, you're only going to wear on a Saturday and or Sunday in AIT if and when they approve you for on pass or on base pass or off post pass. So I'm just saying, bring less. Okay. How long does it take for a hand tattoo waiver to get approved? All right. When it comes to waivers, it could be anywhere from a week to 6 months, with the average being 45 to 90 days or less. Good luck. May the waiver gods forever be in your favor. Pedro Pagano with the hashtag Team Swortz. Appreciate you shipping out on March 13th for Leonardwood, Missouri for basic, and then to Fort Eustis, Virginia for AIT. Super excited and thank you for your help. Well, I appreciate you appreciating me and my videos. Glad you found them helpful, and thank you so much for the hashtag Team Swortz. Appreciate you, and thank you for tuning in. So we got Lakota Blaisdell. I want to join as a 91 mic or 91 echo, which I have no clue off the top of my head what those are because we definitely don't have those in my area. But I have bad wisdom teeth. Don't worry about your bad wisdom teeth. As long as they're not visible during MEPS, you'll get past MEPS. When you get to the reception battalion, when you're in processing, when you get to basic training, guess what? It's going to get taken care of for you. You won't have to pay a dime for it because you're on active duty and they will do the work. Anthony Fairley, how long does it take to get done with the 09 mic program, then go into basic? So if you're going there for the academics, I would probably say no more than a month and a half for most people. But every 3 weeks, you're eligible to take the ASVAB test. If you fail that first test after 3 weeks, you will be recycled to a new platoon in a different company, and you will begin over there. It is the BSET program that we teach you, but most people will get it within the first month and a half, so you'll be fine. NASCAR fan, how long does it take to get the Army paper? Okay. All right. How long does it take to get the paperwork all filled out in the Army to get approved for MEPS, even after active duty? I'm not sure what you mean by active duty. Like if you're going, it doesn't matter if you're going active duty, guard, or reserve. If you're talking about MEPS, right? The paperwork gets filled out as fast as you complete it. And if you're otherwise qualified, it's happening sooner rather than later. This is going to be recruiter dependent on how motivated they are, how qualified you are, and some other minor factors, right? If we have to source court records, medical records, legal records, what have you, right? That is going to delay your process. So the quicker you fill out your own paperwork and source all the necessary documents is going to drive the train on how fast you process. If you come to my office with the application filled out, you have all your original documents, we fingerprint you, we print out all the forms required for you to get to MEPS to, get your contract prepared by the guidance counselor and whatever, and you pass the ASVAB test and medical, you could be in the military in 10 days or less. Worst case scenario, 21 to 30 days, as long as you have minor issues. If you got major issues and it requires a waiver, it could be like a 90 to 180 day process. So that means that's 3 to 6 months, if you don't know what I mean. Adam Rocks. My friend is saying I should join the Coast Guard because I'll hate the Army. Thoughts? Maybe he thinks that he's going to hate the Army, right? So this is what I tell people all the time, especially when they're consulting somebody else's opinion about joining. Who the hell am I to tell you that we're the best thing since sliced bread? Although I do feel that way, but it's up to you to decide for yourself, for your reasons and your reasons alone. Let's say I have a bad experience in the Army. That doesn't mean that you're going to have a bad experience. Everyone has their own experience based on their mindset, how mentally and physically resilient and strong they are, right? So you and I could go to basic training, and let's say I'm a weakling. I was a couch potato. I was sheltered. I was a mama's boy. My mama always protected me and this, that, whatever. But you were a independent, strong individual. You worked out on a daily basis. Maybe you know, your parents are rough around the edges and yelled at you, scolded you, maybe even spanked you growing up, and you're just rough and tough. And we go to basic training. I could be like, man, basic training was mentally and physically challenging. You know, I couldn't do a push-up. I didn't like being yelled at. But you were like, man, my mom yells at me worse than that. And because you've been working out, it was a walk in the park. So again, I'm going to look like I struggled and it was the worst experience in the world. And you could be like, man, basic training was too easy. It should be harder, more challenging. So again, when consulting somebody else's opinion on which branch of service is better, for the most part, they're speaking for themselves, and that's it. So just food for thought. Take it with a grain of salt, but it's up to you to make your own decisions based on your own research. I did a video on don't join the U.S. Army until you watch this video. I implore you to go check that out. And what I basically say in a nutshell is do the bulk of your research on the official websites, goarmy.com and nationalguard.com. Write down all your questions and concerns. Talk to a recruiter. Obviously, a recruiter is going to be somewhat biased a little bit because we want you to join our branch of service for our reasons and all that good stuff. But we're going to show you how we can help you achieve your goals better, faster, and cheaper. And we're all excellent options, but it's up to you to choose which one of us is the best option. So in the end, if you're indecisive and you can't decide which one is better for you, you got to figure out your why. You got to figure out your deal breakers. You got to figure out and know and understand what are your goals and which one's going to help you get there. In a lot of cases, every branch of service is going to check all those boxes. Which uniform do you like better? Which one has the climate or the persona that you are more attracted to? Like, I could never be in the Air Force or the Navy. It is just too soft for me. I prefer the Marine Corps or the Army. I almost went to the Marine Corps, and if it wasn't for the recruiters for the Marine Corps or the active duty Army, I would have been active duty in the Army or the Marine Corps. But it wasn't until I ran into a National Guard recruiter where I learned more about them, and that it was more in line with my values, motivations, and goals and purpose in life. So I found, based on my own research, that the Guard was the best fit for me. But I had to decide that for myself, and it is ultimately up to you. So when you speak to others that are currently serving or previously served, again, take that with a grain of salt because that was based on their experience. Just because someone experiences one thing, and let's say it was a negative experience, does not necessarily mean that that is going to happen to you, right? Always make good decisions. Maybe not good decisions. Always make better decisions. If you mess up, hey, cool. Consider an experiment. Change something up. Control the variable and keep it moving. All right? Test it out. Do the minimum contract. Don't do anything for money. Don't join a particular branch of service or a job just for the money. Because as fast as you got the money, in most cases, as fast as it goes out, most people don't invest it or put it where it could work for them. They, spend it on whatever, and they're left with nothing, and they're in a position or a job skill that they can't stand, don't like, and thus, festers, negative opinions and attitudes and stuff like that. So you got to do you, boo-boo. That's all I got to say. Figure it out for yourself, for your reasons and your reasons alone. Definitely consult other people's opinions, but opinions are like assholes and everyone seems to have one. So good luck with that. All right. So we got John. I joined last year in September as a 19 Delta. I believe that's Calf Scout, and have a few months left of OSA. A few months left. We must have just started. When we left for holiday block leave, I never returned to Fort Benning. Ooh, I spoke to a few lawyers about this. What's your opinion about AWOL? You, my friend, are AWOL. God bless you. Not going to be pretty. Man, that sucks. Well, I don't know what's going to happen to you, but it's not going to be good. Worst case scenario, you'll go to the brig. So to put it into perspective, my stepbrother, when he went on leave, never went back for like 6 to 12 months. He self-reported, turned himself in, and I believe he did like 6 months in a military prison. Docked his pay, made him pay for all of his uniforms, and he did his time. And because he was a stellar go-getter soldier, but then again, he was in a regular unit, right? His commander took care of him, still gave him an honorable discharge, just had like 180 plus days of AWOL time, which is non-waiverable. At least at the time when I tried to re-enlist him. But it's not looking good, my friend. Man, I wish you didn't do that, John. That sucks. Hopefully your lawyer will tell you something more promising, but that sucks. No bueno. Sorry, I wish I had something better to say to you. That sucks. JB, I like your profile photo. That looks pretty cool. It's different. What do you recommend for interstate transfers after joining 1 year after AIT, halfway contract, or after the full contract, and how will it affect your bonus? Thank you very much. So you could lose your bonus or expect to lose your bonus. So at time of enlistment, when you're signing your contract, you sign a bonus addendum. It tells you the do's, the don'ts, the sustains, and if you do this, you're going to lose it. And if you do it this way, it would be with recoupment, meaning you're going to pay a prorated rate for the unserved portion of your contract that they paid out for. So for example, let's say you do a 6-year contract, you got a $20,000 bonus, you're 3 years in, which is half of your contract. You would have to pay back $10,000 of that $20,000 because you did half of your contract. But again, look at your bonus addendum. That will tell you exactly what will happen. Now, if the gaining state wants to honor you or honor your bonus, you could potentially keep it, but expect to lose it and with recoupment. Now, with an interstate transfer, it's pretty smooth. You have to be MOS qualified. I did a video on this. All right. You have to be MOS qualified before you can request it. So you could be moving or whatever right now, but it's not until you are MOS qualified and you're back to your unit of assignment or home of record where you can request your interstate transfer. The regulations and stuff like that deal with this are in that video in the description area. Definitely go check it out. And I have some best practices and tips and insights and all that good stuff. But it's a lot easier now that we have IPSA in the process. So definitely go check that out. And yeah, you're not obligated to complete your entire contract. So as long as there's a unit within 100 miles of your unit or within a reasonable travel distance that you're willing to travel to, then they will find a unit for you that has your MOS, or you could reclass to a new MOS in your gaining state. But definitely go check that out. NASCAR fan with a lot of questions today. I love it. Appreciate you. Let's see. You might not know this, and I know you are a National Guard recruiter, but could you please give me guidance based on the branch of the military is best benefit-wise? All the benefits, federal benefits, are the same, whether you're active duty. For all active duty is all the same, and all the benefits in a reserve capacity to include the National Guard at a federal sense is all the same. Now, the only difference between National Guard versus the reserve or all reserves is because we have that dual mission serving the state and the federal government, we have access to state benefits, which is going to be state specific. So I did a video here if you want to check that out. The National Guard education benefits video. So definitely go check that out. And yeah, so hopefully that helps you out. I did another video, Guard versus Reserve. That might be interesting to you if you're still here. Definitely go check that out. Benjamin Arndt. How hard is it to go from Army Reserve or Army National Guard to active duty? So under normal circumstances, it's in accordance with how I described it in this video here. Guard Reserve to active duty video right here. Difference between that video and what I'm about to share with you now is you have to understand that the United States Army and the rest of the military failed miserably to reach its end strength goal, meaning that we didn't enlist or contract enough people to meet the promise that we gave Congress. So with that said, under normal circumstances, you had a pretty decent chance of getting that conditional release within the first 6 months of the fiscal year. So between October and the end of March would be the most optimum time to apply for a conditional release. After that, into the third and fourth quarter of the fiscal year, it's a numbers game, and each branch of service wants to make sure that they're going to finish where they promised Congress that they were going to finish. So it's more challenging to get that approval. Now, with the current status of the military not making its end strength mission or being mission year to date, I would not expect to get a conditional release, because a conditional release to go active duty is not guaranteed. It's an option, right? It can get approved. It should get approved if you articulate it in the way that I described in my video, but they don't have to give it to you. Now, if you go active duty full time, which I've been getting for some reason a lot of DMs lately, a lot of direct messages lately of people that enlisted regular Army full time and be like, yo, man, I made a mistake. Can I go guard? Unfortunately, you can always go from part-time to full-time, but you cannot backtrack and go full-time and request to go part-time unless you finish your contract. That's why sometimes, even when I'm recruiting, I'll advocate go part-time, see if you like it, and then go active duty, whether it's within the Guard or Reserve, or get that conditional release to go active duty. But if you go active duty and you don't like it, you have to complete your contract. There is no 2-week notice. And some people may disagree with that. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not just saying that from a recruiter's perspective. I'm just saying, at least you have options. Like if you don't like it, like you go to basic training and you don't like it, you only have to deal with it 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year at the minimum, and maybe a deployment or activation if you're in the Guard. So you have options. But if you go active duty, you only have one option, and that is to complete your contract. So just throwing that out there, food for thought. You do what you do, boo-boo. It's your life, and you only have one life to live. Question from 9 Saga says, what's your thoughts on Ranger School and Pathfinder and Aerial Airborne? Is there any other airborne? Not sure if there's any difference, but I only want the training and certifications to be honest. So just because you go to Ranger School doesn't mean that you're going to be a Ranger, because you have to be assigned to a Ranger battalion to be a Ranger with the scroll versus I have a brain fart here. The tab, right? The Ranger tab just means that you're Ranger qualified. A true Ranger has a scroll. But with that being said, my thoughts are, if you can get into those schools and you can complete them, by all means, go for it. Don't say no, ever. And always be ready. Those are my thoughts. Welcome to my TED Talk. I'm so cheesy. Chris Robert says, I'm trying to decide between military police or striker. How would I decide for sure? Again, just like I said earlier in the stream, if you were here, do your research, figure out if you think that you're going to like it. What do you like about each one? Make a list of all the pros and cons, all the reasons why you like that job, and all the reasons why you don't think that you would like it. And are either one of these going to help you achieve your goals better, more, or worse, right? So those are my thoughts. Giuseppe says, what are the benefits for maxing your ACFT test? Promotion points and bragging rights. And you won't have to worry about being taped or failing height and weight. Lakota Blasdale, thoughts? I'm a machinist for 7 years. I want to be a 91M. I'm not sure what that is. Let me pull this up over here. Oops. MOS. That is a Bradley. Oh, tank maintainer. Okay. All right. So I had wisdom teeth, but I have had wisdom teeth Well, we all have wisdom teeth. I'm only 23 and had an IEP in school. Ooh, IEP, no bueno. That's usually a permanent disqualifier. What do you think the odds of me making through MEPS? I really want to join. So you'll have a fighting chance if you can pass the ASVAB test and you can get letters from all your teachers or as many teachers as you possibly can, and anyone else. Like if you played sports, any active after school activities, if you're working a part-time job or a full-time job, getting character references from the teachers, the employers, supervisors, after school activity personnel. And that letter should say, you know, since he's been part of this program from this year to this year, he's not displayed any issues that prevented him from performing like the average person, regardless of you being in IEP in school. So then at that point, you would probably have a favorable opportunity to apply for a waiver. Whether or not it gets approved or not, that's a different story. But if you were enrolled into IEP and you needed questions like read to you, and you had restrictions and limitations to after school programs, sports, and even in class, and you always needed assistance, and let's say when you're working, you had like restrictive work, if that makes sense, then chances are you're not even going to be entertained. You might not even get approved for a medical exam, honestly. But yeah, so hopefully that was insightful enough for you, but good luck. Sean T says, every time I see that, I think of Sean T from Insanity from Beachbody, if you know who he is. Question: what is the process like to get top secret clearance? You apply for it. You fill out your application. You put where you've lived for 10 years, where you went to school, where you worked for the past 10 years, all your travel history for the past 10 years, your law violations, all that stuff. And as long as you have a squeaky clean background and your character references pan out and you're not part of any extremist organizations, yada, 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 you'll be in there like swimwear. Jack Hunsucker says, anywhere I can get a practice ASVAB test, and interested to see what I might score. So I have a couple here. If it's even, let me see. This is one which is from the Iowa Army National Guard, and this is another version. Should be the same test, honestly. As soon as that posts, I'll post the next one. This one's a DDRPT, so it might be different. All right, a little parched there, but sorry about that. Probably made that pop in the mic. Terrell Johnson, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Shalang Chen, what MOS does Fort Hamilton have? So I don't know if you mean guard or reserve, but Fort Hamilton houses the active duty recruiting command in the reserve center. There's like, I believe 3 to 5 detachments and units for the Army Reserve. So they have a drill sergeant detachment, a medical unit, a transportation company, and I can't remember the other 1 or 2 units that are there for the reserve on the second floor. And on the third floor houses 4 National Guard units. There's a military police company, an aviation signal support company, a quartermaster company, and a chemical corps company. So what that entails is obviously military police, supply, logistics, a couple of administrative positions, a lot of 25 Bravos, Quebecs, basically combo MOSs. 74 Deltas is the primary MOS for the chemical unit. Last time I checked, they had like a handful of Striker MOSs. There's in the 133rd, they also have a lot of the mechanics, the what do you call it? Water purifying specialist, the 92 whiskey, I believe is what it is. The mortuary affairs, like one position, I think. Things like that. So yeah. Cheese Dog, will your civilian job keep you if you decide to join the Guard and want to go to basic? Yes. So you're actually covered under federal law. So this is the website to check out the employers and the employees' jobs. Okay. ESGR, Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve.gov website. So definitely go check that out to be in the know. LA, does active duty get a break for Thanksgiving or Christmas? So you will have a Thanksgiving dinner, but that's it. You're not going to be off for the day. On Christmas Day, it will be an easy day. I don't think there's much training going on, but you will have a nice dinner. You'll have a very nice meal, nice silverware, nice plates and whatnot, and get the nice food, the tastier food. But yeah, you'll have a good time. It's not that bad. For Christmas, you'll be home. But for Thanksgiving, that's the dinner I'm talking about, with the nice spread, with the nice silverware and plates. But for Christmas, you'll be off. Yes, it's called HBO. Yep, 100%. I did a video on it. HBL video. If you want to check it out for next year. It's all the same tips. It's like evergreen content that'll never go away. It's the same stuff every year. David Hanau says being allergic to penicillin may cause for not being able to enlist. Second, if I join the reserve, can my employer terminate my contract while I am training with the Army? So, first question, being allergic to penicillin. Yes, as long as you don't have an abnormal reaction. So as long as you don't have an abnormal reaction, you'll be fine. And in most cases, because they have an alternate thing that's similar to penicillin, I forgot what it's called, you'll be all right. It's waiverable, or no waiver really. But as long as you don't have an abnormal reaction, you'll be all right. Now, second question, your company cannot cancel your contract. Like if you're under contract, they have to honor you. So worst case scenario, they will hire somebody to replace you, but by federal law and your local Department of Labor will back up the federal law stating that they have to give you your job back. If not the same job, it's got to be something of similar responsibility. And if it's a technical job and you require or would like to get like a refresher course, then by law they're obligated to give it to you. Worst case scenario, they can make you go through the entire application process, but at the end of the day, they have to give you your job back. All right. But going to the website I posted earlier, if you were here, if not, it's coming to you right now, esgr.gov, and that will list the employers and the employees' rights. So definitely go check that out. Riley Simmons says, when are recruiting stations typically open? They're open every day during the week unless it's a holiday. Now, whether or not your particular recruiter is going to be there is going to be dependent on what they have scheduled for the day. So it's always best to contact them ahead of time and to coordinate and plan and schedule your appointments. Now, let's say you're in communication with a recruiter and they're ghosting you or not responding to you. Hey, man, do what they do. Do a hot knock. Just show up. Be like, ding dong. And you know, catch them right-handed, I guess. But yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. Nine Saga says, what's the peanut butter shots for? And can I have a waiver for it? No, there is no waiver for it. If you watch my basic training reception video, I go into it all right there. I go through all the shots that you're going to get, all that good stuff. So go check that out. Hi, hello. All right. We weren't even allowed to use anything from the packing list. Now, was that from my packing list or the packing list that your recruiter gave to you? So you have to understand, and this is why when I gave you my packing list, I tell you not to bring a bunch of clothes because you're not going to be able to use it. And I don't want you going to like Costco, Walmart, Target, or what have you and buy personal hygiene products in bulk to save you money or whatever, because a lot of times those products are not going to be authorized or considered contraband. So that's why I say that you're bringing a travel size personal hygiene kit, enough to last you for a few days so that you could purchase all those things at the reception battalion. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is my video. All right. I'm not telling you to bring 2 days, 5 days worth of clothes. I'm not telling you to go out and buy like 5 bottles of shampoo, 5 bottles of conditioner, this, that, whatever. No, don't do that, because a lot of times that stuff is not going to be authorized, right? At minimum, right? So that video that I posted is by far the best packing list video that's out there. It's broken down into 3 different lists. The minimum list, which is your original source documents, right? Which is your social security card, CAC card if you have it, your ID card, your debit card, and your green card if applicable. and maybe your copy of your lease or your mortgage would be a good practice to bring with you. Outside of that, you don't need to go with anything, all right, except for your cell phone and your charger and maybe a wired headphone. Outside of that, there's nothing else that you need to bring with you, because all you're going to get is your shipper's packet and everything else will be provided for you. You'll be able to purchase things with a cash advance of $350 through your card, your Eagle card, which is a cash advance. So make sure you spend all that money, because whatever, the video will explain it. But if you bring anything beyond that, it's subject to interpretation by your leadership, right? So if you take, like, for example, let's say you want to bring mouthwash, Cool Beans, just make sure it doesn't have alcohol in it. Why? Because if it's got alcohol and the seal is cracked open, guess what? It's contraband. You can't have it. So be smart. Don't bring a bunch of socks, underwear, towels. You just need like a hand gym towel, just enough to dry yourself off, some cheap flip-flops. Again, you just need to last for a few days until you can purchase all this stuff while you're at the reception time. So my list is broken down into those minimum documents: a travel size personal hygiene kit, flip-flops, a hand towel, 2 locks, one for a travel size lock for the big compartment of your book bag, nothing bigger than a regular backpack, and then a lock for your wall locker. Again, all this stuff is to get you to the point where you purchase the stuff at the reception time. And then I have nice to have options, right? Suggested items later on in the video that you don't have to bring, may or may not be allowed at the training site, but you'll be able to use it while you're at AIT. So definitely go check out that video. Hands down, the best packing list video on YouTube to date. I'm telling you, check it out. Anyway, Wolf Fang, I'm going to enlist in October, and I am worried about the ASVAB test because I want to go for SF as a weapons sergeant. Any advice? Pay attention during white phase and try to do as best as you can. All right. And you can, I don't know if you're going special forces now, like if that's your contract, or if you have aspirations to drop your SF contract later on at a later date. But just do your best during weapons qualification. That's all I can tell you. But definitely go check out. Let me go back up here and highlight his question again. So check out FNG Academy. All right. He is a former Special Forces active duty soldier and short-term in National Guard before he became a law enforcement officer, and then he quit that, and now he's a full-time Army content creator, helping people like you get through selection and get selected for Special Forces or something equivalent like Navy SEALs and such. But definitely go check his page out. And I think the other one has a lot of good information, a lot of videos on Special Forces. Life is a Special Forces operation, which is a good website or YouTube channel as well. So go check that out. So It's Okay Boomer says, what you bring to MOS school? Everything that was issued to you from basic training. That's it. Team Swartz on top. Hell yeah. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Appreciate your help. Appreciate you appreciating me. All right. So clicked off on it. Where is the National Guard boot camp located? So it doesn't matter if you're Guard, Reserve, or active duty. We all get the same training at the same locations. So you could be at time of enlistment. You'll find out then if you're going to go to Fort Jackson in South Carolina, Fort Benning in Georgia, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, or Fort Leonard in Missouri. And your AIT could be anywhere in the country, depending on whatever you sign up for. Max, how is the process for transferring from the Air National Guard to the Army National Guard? Considering I'm not to ship to basic, I think the equivalent to our BCT, basic combat training, yet, and just starting student flight. By the way, my 2-year ASVAB expired, but still physical. Okay, so if you went Air Guard, then you are bound by a contract. You are, in every sense of the word, an airman. Meaning that you're in there like swimwear. You have a binding legal contract. So if you decide that you don't want to ship out to basic training, which is your choice, there's nothing really that we could do to you other than giving you an adverse discharge. And what that's going to do is it's going to prevent you for more than 24 months before you can reapply to join the military. So in most cases, what you could expect is a general discharge as your type of discharge. So it's not going to be honorable. It's not going to be dishonorable. It's going to be a general discharge. I would expect that the narrative reason for separation in the SPD code that mirrors that narrative as well is going to usually be failed to ship out to IADT, individual for active duty training, and an RE2 or an RE3. RE it stands for re-enlistment code, and 1 is ideal, meaning that you got out no issues, like you completed your time, like no waiver needed if you got an RE1. But most likely you'll get an RE2 or a 3. 4 means you can never go back to that branch of service. 2 or 3, depending on your type of discharge, that's how they rate that. But that's recruiter stuff. You don't have to worry about that. So what does that mean? So depending on your discharge and the narrative reason, everything, right? It will prevent you from reapplying for 6 to 24 months. So if it's coded that you have to wait 24 months in this example, once from the date of discharge, you would have to wait 24 months from that date before you can reapply with an administrative waiver. So depending on why you were discharged, there may be other waivers that are required for other reasons. But for this example, it would be an administrative waiver. So what does that do for you? You can join any branch of service as long as a waiver can be approved. However, when you join the Air Guard right now, let's say you did a 3x4 option, meaning that for 3 years, you're actively drilling 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year, and the other 4 years, IRR, the inactive readiness reserve, where it's like what I like to refer to as a holy shit callback list, whereas if the Air Force, whether it's active duty reserve guard, need you, they can pull you out of the IRR and send you on that deployment for 3 to 12 months. So you're going to be considered what we call glossary non-prior service. You're kind of like a hybrid. You're not prior service and you're not non-prior service because you had a contract. You just didn't get MOS qualified and you were prematurely discharged. So as a glossary non-prior service applicant, when you go to reapply, however many years, months, and days is what your minimum contractual obligation is going to be at the next contract. Meaning, let's say, because I know that for Air Guard and Air Force, sometimes it could be up to a year before you ship out the training. So let's just say for this example, you signed a 3-year contract and you completed 1 year even. That means you owe 7 more years because anyone who joins the military has an 8-year military service obligation, which we refer to as your MSO, military service obligation. So that means, let's say you go to the Army National Guard afterwards, after that 24 months, and you go to join the Army National Guard. Guess what? Your minimum contract is now 7 years and nothing less. You could do more than 7 years, which in this case would be 8 years because that's the maximum you could join at any one given time. But your minimum contract is 7 years. And here's the kicker. There are no bonuses authorized because you did not and you failed to complete your initial contract. So I never advocate for anyone not to ship out. It is in your best interest. The easiest way and the best way is to, at the very least, ship out, become job qualified in your branch of service. And if you're in the Guard or Reserve, like you, request a conditional release. And if and when approved, you take that approved document and you take that to the next recruiter. And then you can process there as long as you can get a waiver for that branch of service. Those are my 2 cents. That is my long-winded response so that you can make a well-informed decision. I will, at this point, advise you not to ship out to basic training. I'm advising you to fulfill your obligation, leave for basic training, get job qualified, and then drop your conditional release, completing a DD form 368 with the recruiter from the Army National Guard or wherever you want to go afterwards. But go to basic training and come back satisfactorily. Okay. Don't do it to yourself. Okay. Don't play yourself because you'll wreck yourself. All right. Next person. All right. Thoughts on 25 uniform. Listen, I think that every MOS is the next best thing since sliced bread. As long as you're happy with it, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what my opinion is, because the fact of the matter is you're going to ask me, what about this MOS? What about that MOS? What about this? What about this? I don't know you. I don't know what makes you tick. I don't know what you're interested in. I don't know what you want, what your desires are, what your goals and aspirations are. I don't know what that's going to do for you. Like, I don't know what you want to do outside of the military. So I want you to do your research. I want you to go to nationalguard.com, goarmy.com, read all about the MOS, right? And if it meets your needs, wants, and desires for your reasons and your reasons alone, and you're happy with it, it doesn't matter what I think. Because at the end of the day, it's your life and you only have one life to live. So my unbiased opinion is to choose the one that meets your expectations. Welcome to my TED Talk. All right. And that's for anybody who's asked me that question, because I don't feel like addressing that same question. But it's true, though, right? I would have to get to know you and address all those different areas to figure that out. I mean, sometimes it's like pulling teeth trying to get that information from potential applicants. But it's neither here nor there. Anyway, Keb Deal Rodriguez says, "Hey Swartz, great fan. What are your thoughts on as I previously described?" Go check that out. The Enabler, did the Army make the ACFT gender neutral again or no? Yes. Or no, hang on. No, it's not neutral yet, but they're talking about going back to being gender neutral. All right. Kind of hope that it does, but we'll find out. LA says, heard when joining, they treat you bad and you'll regret joining. Is that true? Well, that's going to be dependent on the individual and how mentally resilient you are. Some people don't like being yelled at. People don't like paying for other people's mistakes, all that good stuff. So yeah, those are my 2 cents rather. Dakota, listening to you while I'm welding. Love your channel. Well, I appreciate you. Hopefully I'm entertaining you at the very least. Thank you very much for tuning in. Anonymous, I found out having a homeschool diploma transcripts does make you a tier 2 evaluation recruiter and still qualifies you as a tier 1. What? You're confusing me with your statement, but as long as it's evaluated by the Board of Education for your state for an ACE, meaning I want to say it's called ACE is American Council of Education. As long as it falls under ACE, then it's a tier 1 eval. If it's not evaluated by the Board of Education, then it would be rated by a tier 2 evaluation. So, which is not authorized for incentives, and it could prevent you from certain programs like the 09 Mike Future Soldier Prep course, if that's where you're going with this. Not really sure. NASCAR fan says, when does my contract actually start if I go active duty? Does it start as soon as I start basic training or during AIT? So in most cases, it starts the day that you ship out to basic training. So if you report to MEPS or self-report to the reception battalion for basic training, it starts that day that you redo your oath of enlistment. Now, on occasion, active duty Army offers like a 2-year contract option. So the way that works is your clock, that 24-month, that 2-year contractual obligation doesn't start until you are MOS qualified and at your first duty station. So for example, let's say it takes you 6 months for argument's sake to complete all of your training and become job qualified and at your duty station. You will be completing 2 years and 6 months at this point, because your 2-year mark begins when you're in processing for your unit of assignment, if that makes sense, if you're going for that 2-year contract. Otherwise, if you're signing a 3-year contract or more, then the day you ship out to basic training as an active duty soldier, your contract starts. For National Guard, your start date for your contract starts the day that you sign your contract. Same thing with reserve, as long as they put in that document or 2 to put you in paid status. But if you're just in the reserve and delayed entry program and they don't submit that form to put you in paid status, then just like active duty, the day you ship out. Joan plays. Do you know anything about any aircraft repair? Because I signed up for 15 Bravo and no other YouTuber knows about that MOS. So I wanted to see if you know about at least the aircraft repair overall. I know it's a mechanic. I know they repair aircrafts, and that's all I know. You turn wrenches and all that stuff, and the Army gives you TMs, technical manuals, that will walk you through step by step to fix the problem. But I don't have any more details than that because I've never been in an aviation unit, let alone the job. But appreciate you and good luck. Trust me, the training is designed for you to pass, so you don't have to stress it. As long as you're paying attention, take good notes, review them on the weekends and the evenings, you'll be all right. Anonymous also says, you mentioned homeschool diplomas transcripts don't make you eligible as a tier 1 recruit. I did some research and it seems you actually will still qualify as a tier 1 as a homeschooler. So again, as previously described, if it's ACE accredited and evaluated by the Board of Education for your state, then it can be tier 1, but the majority of them are considered tier 2. Your recruiter will do the tier evaluation. And again, if it's determined it's a tier 1, you're good to go. If it's determined that's a tier 2, then you'll be closed off to incentives and certain options. JB, how can I get airborne qualified as prior service going back into basic training reclassing as a 68 Whiskey, which is a combat medic? My recruiter said go 11 Bravo or asking MEPS to get attached to an infantry unit or volunteer for it during basic training. So you didn't say if you were going in as guard, reserve, or active duty. So if you did not sign it as a contractual option at the time that you were signing your re-enlistment contract with your recruiter, then you're not eligible for it. But if you are in the training environment for basic training and or AIT or OSA and they offer it to you like your recruiter said, then yes, definitely go for it and don't say no. Is it easier if you're going infantry because you're at Fort Benning, the home of the airborne, right? Then yes, it is easier. They do heavy recruiting there. So it is probably more probable or expected that you'll probably get a better opportunity to get into airborne school while you're there. But all basic training sites offer it. Mostly to active duty soldiers. Occasionally they'll offer it to reserve and guard soldiers. Again, I don't know if you're going guard or reserve. But yeah, and if you're in the guard or active duty for infantry or a combat job and you can get assigned to one of those units, then it is possible that they can send you to the airborne school for sure. But if you're going National Guard, you got to understand that unless you're in the one of the 4 states that actually have airborne units, airborne is not going to be in your contract and it's not going to be offered to you that easily. So each state gets a handful of slots for airborne, air assault, and specialty schools like Ranger schools, so on and so forth. So most of those, the bulk of them, if not all of them, are going to be allocated to the combat units. And they divvy them out as they see fit. Most of the time, it's more or less like a reward. So let's say if you compete for the best warrior competition and you win it for your state or region, typically your adjutant general, if you're in the guard, your tag, will offer it to you, not that school specifically, but they'll offer you like school of choice or something like that to reward you for being the best soldier for the year or whatever. Things like that are some ways that you could get certain schools. Riley Simmons says, when you go to basic, is there a secure place to keep your important documents like your social security card, ID, etc.? Yes. So in your wall locker or your bed, because they got pretty fancy with some of these contraptions, but if you have, let's say, a wall locker, you have like a 3-drawer chest. Typically, that top drawer has a place where you can lock it. That's called your personal drawer. That is where you'll put your important documents. Or you can leave it in your book bag with a traveler's lock on that main compartment so nobody steals your stuff. But at the very least, you can put it in your personal drawer and lock it up. Good question. Is getting into 88 Mike hard? As long as you have the line scores for it and there's a vacancy for that job and a training seat, you're good to go. It's not that hard. Rick C says, how hard is it to become a drill sergeant in the Guard? Pretty damn difficult. I remember my first 16 years as a recruiter, my first 18 years of service in general, of me inquiring about it, wanting to go and all that good stuff. My state, my recruiting command at the time was like, it's not an option, it's not possible, yada, yada, yada. But once we pointed out states like New Jersey, California, and other states that send their recruiters or their RSP cadre to the Drill Sergeant Academy, it was like eye-opening. And eventually they opened it up to us. So about 4 or 5 of us were sent, all of us passed. It's a challenging school. I loved it. I did not want to leave. I would love to hit the trail as a drill sergeant, but it's pretty darn difficult to get in the guard. It's way easier and on active duty. Like if you want it and you're otherwise eligible for it, they're going to send you, because you get, usually when you get to E5, E6, they're going to tell you to go become a drill sergeant or a recruiter against your will. But if you're in the reserve and you want to become a drill sergeant, they have detachments all over the place. So definitely explore it, and it's a lot easier if you're in the reserve. Just saying. BDM 305, can someone join the guard if they are filing for bankruptcy? So it depends on which type of bankruptcy you're filing for. I forgot which option or type is okay, but the one that secures like your, like, I don't know, makes you sell stuff and take your assets and everything from you, then that's a bad one. But if you have the type of bankruptcy where it doesn't really impact your credit score other than the fact that it's on your credit report, then that shouldn't be too bad. But again, if you're joining as a normal soldier, you should be fine as long as you're in otherwise good standing. It's still going to count against you, but you're going to be restricted to MOSs or job skills that do not require you to have any type of clearance. So any job that requires a secret clearance, top secret clearance, and thereof is not going to be open to you. All right. Because of that bankruptcy, you were basically financially irresponsible. And as a new person coming in and not knowing you, you're too much of a risk to offer you anything like that. Yasir Leva, rather. Been watching the news and loving what I'm seeing. Thanks for the recent video. You're welcome. Appreciate you watching them. Thank you very much. Donkey Gaming, in the process of transitioning from reserve to active duty as a 68 whiskey. Outstanding. Wolfang, rather. I'm enlisting in October of this year, I think. We just passed October. I guess you mean this year. I want to aim for Special Forces Weapons Sergeant. Any advice for the ASVAB test? Study. Check out these two places, right? We got Grammar Hero here on YouTube. It's coming in the chat box. It's also linked down below. And Gaminal Tutors is another one. Both of these YouTube channels is all about passing the ASVAB test on various topics and so on and so forth. Out of these two, the only one that offers tutoring services, is Gaminal Tutors. Grammar Hero does not offer tutoring services because he feels that he would feel guilty in the event that, let's say, he gives you all the tools and tutoring and all that stuff and you don't pass. He would feel guilty that he took your money and you didn't pass the test. So I get what he's saying, but it's neither here nor there. Osgood Slaughter is an orthopedic growth disorder in the knee. It's often mispronounced Oscar Slaughter. That's how I said it. Yeah, I would have to look it up, honestly. So if you direct message me on Instagram, you may have. I don't recall. But I get busy. So if anyone direct messages me on Instagram at Team Swartz, if I don't get back to you in like 2 days, send me another message. All right. I'm human. I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing this for free. It's my hobby. I'm not obligated to do it, but I love and I enjoy doing it. And I do my best to get to you guys within a week, if not a few days. So, and just so you know that if it's not read, understand that I see the notification and I see your direct message. I just don't open it to leave you on red and then lose it. So I don't open it unless I'm in a position to be able to directly respond to your question. Riley Simmons says, are there separate recruiting stations for the Guard, Reserve, and Active, or do they all operate under the same place? So active duty Army and the Army Reserve fall under the same office, the same leadership and umbrella. The Army National Guard is a separate, the Reserve is a separate component of the Army. So 3 components of the Army: active duty, Reserve, and Guard. But putting this as the analogy, the Reserve is like the brother or sister of Big Army, whereas the National Guard is like the stepchild to the Army, meaning that we're related to them, but we're separate because of our unique dual mission. So both active duty and Reserve support the president in all overseas missions, whether they serve full-time or part-time. The Army National Guard does the same exact thing, doing it, serving part-time in the event that our president needs us overseas. In addition to that, our individual governors to our respective states and territories to activate us for state missions to respond to, but not limited to, natural disasters, state emergencies, pandemics, civil unrests, etc., etc. Reaper also says, I passed the ASVAB, waiting to go to MEPS. My recruiter will get back to me January 16th to continue the processing. My tattoos are still visible. I have a doctor's letter to help out. Appreciate you. Hashtag Team Swartz. Well, appreciate you. And glad it's all working out for you. Thank you very much for the update and letting me know. Daniel Flores. On my way to Fort Jackson. Thanks for all your videos. They have helped me a lot. Can you give me one more advice for basic training? The biggest advice I can give to you is work together as a team, help your battle buddies out, attention to detail. If you don't know what's going on, follow everybody else because everyone's going to be doing the same exact thing. Do your best. Remember your why. Have a backup to that why, and maybe even have a third why to back up the first two in case the first two break down and fall out. So just mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. When doing PT or physical strenuous activities, the real work doesn't begin until you get tired. All right? Just do your best. Forget the rest. Strive for perfection. Settle on excellence. NASCAR. Is the 09 mic like an ROTC? No. They are teaching you the BSEP course that normal soldiers in the Guard, Reserve, and Active Duty do at the Education Center. It's the same exact training and course that you'll be doing for up to 90 days. No worries. Best way to detox from 420. Trying to get clean within 1 to 2 months so I can be ready to do MEPS. So if you were an occasional smoker, within 30 days, you should be fine. But I don't know from experience, but I've been told that if you drink a gallon or two of water per day, some even say stuff like drinking grape juice. Don't worry about it. Just drink an excessive amount of water, like a gallon a day would be suffice. Do 30 to 60 minutes of cardio at least every other day, or slow, steady state cardio every single day for 30 to 60 minutes. That will all help you detox and get clean. So as long as you stay away from that stuff for 30 days, you should be clean. I know here in the New York Army National Guard, they do over-the-counter drug tests, and we're not going to send you into MEPS until you're clean. So hopefully you stay clean and you make it happen. Show me to Leal. Welcome back. I am prior service. I had half of my thyroid removed due to thyroid cancer in 2019. I am not on medication and I'm cancer free. Can I get a waiver to rejoin? So that one's going to be tough. You're probably going to need a waiver just to complete the medical exam before you can even do the medical. So what I would suggest to you is you're going to need the original diagnosis documentation, the pre and post surgical notes and documentation, and an all clear memorandum from that doctor. So the original paperwork, the pre and post operative reports and notes, a brief summary, and all clear memorandum from your surgeon or cancer specialist. And what I would do right now is to go to either that same doctor or another specialist that deals with that can run any additional evaluations and tests to make sure that you're still clear, and to verify in their letter that from the day of the surgery till now, you've been stable, showing and displaying no signs or symptoms of the cancer. And this is going to be critical to the success to be authorized for the medical exam and possibly recommended for a medical waiver. No doctor in their right mind is going to put their name on a piece of paper that's going to tell them that you're not ever going to get cancer again. So that's going to be a tough sell. So you're going to need that all clear letter to say something along the lines like, on this date here, he was diagnosed for this cancer. This date, he conducted the surgery. By this date here, he's been cleared of cancer. To date, he has not shown any signs or symptoms for cancer. And as long as he is now currently a healthy human being, and as long as they live a healthy lifestyle, and this is the tricky part, and it depends on how comfortable they are in saying this, but basically what they have to say is something along the lines like, as long as they live a healthy lifestyle, I don't even know how to really say it, but something along the lines like, you're otherwise a healthy human being that should not get cancer again. I mean, you already got it once, so obviously the risk factor is higher compared to somebody else, but you got to get them to say something along the lines like, you shouldn't get it again. It's possible, but I don't know, it's really hard to describe it, but something along those lines. And I'm going to be doing a video on this in the next couple months, but I mean, that's going to be a tough sell. But I would wait at least 2 full years closer. So you could do it after the 2-year mark, 2-year anniversary. But you might have to wait till like the 3rd or 5th year anniversary, showing that you've been stable. You haven't gotten any signs or symptoms of cancer. Maybe your blood work is still registering as normal. But you want all the evidence in the world that's possible to show that you're clear. All right. And that you're considered a low risk factor. But good luck to you. And I'm glad that you fought it and you won for sure. Grace Beard says, I contacted my local recruiter and I'll be signed up for the Army by the end of this August. And by watching this channel, I feel fully informed with the decision. I can thank you enough. Or I can't thank you enough, I think is what you meant with the hashtag Team Swords. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Glad I was able to help you out in some way. So that being said, Infinity Love also says, which one would you suggest, the GI Bill or the post 9/11 GI Bill? So if you're going Guard or Reserve, you have no other choice because you're only going to be offered the 1606 Select Reserve GI Bill, which all reservists and Guard members are offered. If you go active duty, then you will get the post 9/11 GI Bill. Now, if you're in the Guard or the Reserve and you get deployed overseas and you do 90 days or more on qualifying federal active duty service, other than for your initial entry training, i.e. basic training, AIT, OSUT, and alike, then you'll qualify for the 50% of that benefit. So 90 days to get 50% of that benefit. And for more active duty time that you have, the higher percentage that you'll receive. So if you just Google post 9/11 Veterans Affairs or VA.gov website, that website and the VA.gov website will dictate how much time you need to have on active duty to get what percentage. But to get the full benefit, you have to do 3 years worth of qualifying federal active duty service. And that's open to all Guard, Reserve, and active duty who qualify. And to answer your question, which one would be better? Obviously, the post 9/11 pays more. It would be better. But again, it boils down to what's important to you and why you want to serve and what you're willing to sacrifice to get to that benefit or what have you. So both Guard, Reserve / active duty offer great benefits, but it depends on which one suits you best, if that makes sense. Kevdil Rodriguez, will a dependency waiver get approved with the shortage? Yeah, in most cases, I have never seen a dependency waiver denied, at least for the National Guard. Active duty, it's pickle. But good luck on that, and you should be all right, honestly, because again, numbers are low, so it's in your favor for sure. LA says, I had to change recruiters because the lack of communication he gave me. He asked me for my info for a cause and gave it to him when it came to, I'm not sure what you mean there, but I don't know if you gave him your original documents or if you just gave him the information. Basically what he did was in the system, he locked your information. But once you go to the whatever branch of service you're trying to go to, you'll do what we call a spiff change. And basically the same form that you would have to sign to take the test is what you'll need to sign with the gaining new recruiter and new branch of service. And that will pull your basic information and ownership of that basic information from that branch of service over to theirs, specifically to them. And if they kept your original documents, that's a recruiter tactic to cause you to come back to the office to go get them. And that guarantees them one more FaceTime with you to convince you to join their service. Jack Hunsucker also says, if I'm finishing school a semester early, should I wait to reach out to a recruiter? If I want to be able to go to my class's graduation, I'm unsure on how long the process normally takes. So the process is dependent on the unique applicant and if they have any disqualifying issues or what have you, right? So if you have no issues, you could be signing your contract within the next 2 weeks or so. And you can get an exception to policy to ship out after this current semester. So if you're finishing school a semester early, like let's say in your example, or let's say taking your example, assuming that you mean like this is your last and final semester, like I enlisted somebody a week or two ago, and this is her final semester. Under normal circumstances, you have to ship out within 3 months. Obviously, that's not going to happen because she's currently in college. So we got an exception to that ship policy to ship out after her graduation. So we fill out a college enrollment letter, and it dictates the last day of classes, the last day for graduation. And then in the system at the time that she was contracting, they chose a ship date after that date. So she got to graduate from college. But good question. Lloyd Cuhano. I wish that I can be a member of that organization one day when I immigrate to the United States. Well, I hope that you make it too. All right. But good luck to you. Appreciate you. Giuseppe says, what are the chances of getting a conditional release to switch from reserve to National Guard as previously described in the stream? That's what I think. And I know you were here because you're still commenting. So I appreciate you. Brent Gordon, how is the urinalysis at MEPS conducted? Visually with the test proctor's eyes. That's how they conduct the test. They watch you literally pee in a cup, male or female, literally watching the urine come out of your device, your bodily thing, right, into the cup directly, and maintain eye contact with that urine, that cup of urine at all times. And it's by a urinalysis. I've got a shy bladder. Will there be an audience? Well, as I just described, yes. That one person. Or is it just the doctor instructor watching? Just the instructor. You're not peeing in front of a whole bunch of people. That's for sure. And we got another super chat coming in this evening. Coming in from Shania Brown. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Thank you very, very much. She says, I'm assuming it's a she. I apologize if you're not. I leave for basic training May 20th or 24th rather to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. How is the weather there and any tips? Do you know anything about the simultaneous membership program in ROTC? So in May is going to be warm and it's going to eventually turn very, very hot because you're basically entering summer. So it's going to be very hot and bothersome. So you're going to be all right. Just make sure that you pay attention to potential heat injuries. We're going to teach you all that stuff. So just pay attention to the signs and symptoms, but you'll be all right. I'd rather go in the summertime if I could. Wintertime sucks. It's cold. Being hot, yeah, it sucks. I don't know. They both suck. But you'll be all right. Trust me. But with that being said, I don't know too much about simultaneous membership program, but I do know that once you do sign your SMP contract in ROTC, which is usually once you get to your junior and senior year or a 2-year master's program or a 2-year college program. Once you get into the SMP contract, you are non-deployable because the intent is for you to commission as an officer. And that's all you need to know, really. I mean, is there anything more about that you want to know about specifically? Let me know. I'll monitor the most recent comments. But is there anything in particular that you wanted to know about it? I know that you're contracted at that point to become a commissioned officer. But if there's anything more specific than that, please let me know in the chat box. And thank you for supporting the channel. Appreciate you. Go back up to here. So can National Guard go airborne? How does that work? If you're in one of the 4 states that actually has an airborne unit, then yeah, of course it's a possibility. If not, then the answer is no. It is not a contractual option under normal circumstances. But if it's offered to you at the training site, don't say no, say yes, and go to the school. And Shania says, does my current contract change at all since I would go from just being enlisted to being an officer? So no, you're under your normal contractual obligation because you signed that contract. But understand that once you commission as an officer, if you're Guard or Reserve, your contract is going to be extended out to meet a 6-year contract. So let's say you have 3 years left on your contract. Your contract would be extended out another 3 years to meet that 6-year requirement as a reserve officer. But if you go active duty, the minimum amount of time that you can sign up or commission to as an officer would be 4 years. So if you're in a guard, obviously you are in the guard or reserve. But if you commission as active duty, you'll convert to active duty and you would sign a minimum of a 4-year contract. So your guard or reserve contract would be null and void, and you'll now be active duty. One of my soldiers, good friend of mine, he went that route. He started in the guard, went into ROTC, commissioned active duty as a field artillery officer. He just recently completed BOLIC, and so he's doing great things. But yeah, so hopefully that addresses your question. And 68 Whiskey is a great MOS. You're going to get nationally certified as a basic EMT. Kevin Border says, my recruiter told me I needed to score at least a 50 on the ASVAB to qualify for an age waiver. I'm 36. Is that true? I scored higher than 50, but I'm curious to know. So I guess it doesn't really matter because you scored over 50. But yes, the requirements go up and down depending on the needs of the Army or current policy. I know it recently changed back to the old ways, so I believe we're back to accepting a 50. But at one point, no 50 was required as long as you were 38 or below. But if you're 38 or higher, right, 38 years old and 1 day or older, then you need a 50. But I would have to double check the current policy for the Army National Guard. You didn't say if you're going active duty or whatnot, because their rules may vary from ours. But you scored over 50, so you're all right. Don't worry about it. You're sweating the small stuff, my man. NASCAR says, is there a certain length of contract I can select for a contract? I go active duty for 3 years, and at the end of contract, I want to go to the guard for 2 years. Can I do that? Yes, it's possible. It is absolutely possible. Yep. So yeah, no, you're right. I don't need to describe it any more than that. Iconic drip, minimum 6 years active, 2 years IRR. No, the minimum contractual obligation for active duty, depending on the MOS, is 4 years. You could do 6. They try to go for 6 because it keeps you 2 years longer. But usually 2 to 4 years is the minimum, depending on the option that you choose at time of enlistment. Kanato Henry, I want to go reserve for the Army. I currently work for the New Jersey, whatever that is. I have a CDL and a technical apprenticeship in plumbing. Should I choose something different when I join the Army? Well, that's up to you. I mean, if you want more training and experience in one of those fields, like 88 Mike Motor Transport or plumber, right? It's a 12 something or other series MOS. But but if you want to expand your knowledge and learn a new skill, like maybe carpentry, machinist, heavy equipment operator, so on and so forth, something else, then yeah, by all means, go do that. Expand your knowledge and experience and training. Hell yeah, why not? But yeah, it sounds like you got a lot of good experience and training for sure. Yusef says, what do you know about 68 Charlie? Nothing, honestly. Also, what kind of tests they do at boot camp reception? Physical tests, not medical stuff, but many miles of running and all that stuff. So they don't do a physical fitness test at the reception battalion. That will be taken care of at the basic training site. But if you want to know more specific about what to expect at the reception battalion, I did a video. You can check that out right here. It's also linked down below. So with that being said, Mo Infantry, having my site console at MEPS finally this Friday. If everything goes well, how long do you think it will take for me to join Chicago MEPS? Thank you. So I would say no more than 21 days after that console, then you'll be summoned back to MEPS if it was very, well, actually I should say that. So it really depends on how fast a waiver would get approved if the CMO agrees that a waiver is recommended. So the CMO will take a week or 2, 3 weeks tops, worst case scenario, to review your site console and make a determination whether or not to recommend a waiver or not. And then it's up to the branch of service to approve that medical waiver, which could be anywhere from like a week to 180 days, worst case scenario, with the average being 45 to 90 days. Big Boo says, I sent you a DM about not being able to obtain my CAC. I am trying to set up my TRICARE for my family, and hopefully you can help me out. A little thanks. So all you need to know is you don't need to set that up before leaving. It'd be great because then you can help them get their ID. However, as long as your dependents are in DEERS, meaning that when you, at time of enlistment, you had their birth certificate, social security cards, green cards, or naturalization certificates, whatever equivalent, plus their social security cards and your spouse's ID, then you're fine. So even when you're in training, right, they can schedule their own appointment as long as they have your DD form 4-1 and 4-2, your actual contract. They bring their photo ID and their social security card to a DEERS office. I'll put the link right here. Hang on. Here we go. So this is the link to schedule your ID appointment and your DEERS appointment to register your family. They could do that on their own. You don't have to be present as long as you already put them into DEERS. All right. But direct message me on Instagram again, and I'll go into more detail about that. But that's a good question. Cute Peaches. Does basic training count towards your 90 days of active duty for National Guard or receive VA loan? As previously described earlier in your stream, your initial entry training, which includes your basic training or your OSA and your AIT, is not part of that 90 days. It's got to be outside of your initial entry training. All right. Jurian Stewart recently got an eye consult from MEBS. Past that, also got cleared from my ophthalmologist. Before that, my recruiter is saying my waiver is now being sent up to higher up. Any tips? Be patient. That's my only tip. You'll be fine. It sounds good to me so far. Yeah, lots of new people on the stream. I appreciate it. It's pretty awesome. So Quaid Perky says, how are you doing? Watched your videos before I left for basic video. Videos were very helpful. Now I'm at AIT to be an 89 Bravo. Thanks for your videos. Wow. I appreciate you. Thank you. And I'm glad that you found my videos helpful. And keep doing great things for the Army. Appreciate you very much. And tell everybody I said hi over there. Appreciate the positive feedback there, Carlos. Thank you very much for tuning in. And let's see. I have active duty 74 Delta chemical specialist with an option for, I think you mean 40, on my contract. Do you know the chances of being attached to a chemical unit prior service? I am still in high school. Oh, P.S. I'm still in high school, not prior service. So if you're going active duty. Yeah. So active duty, you won't know until you're about halfway through your AIT and where you're going. And then you could research from there if it's a chemical unit or if it's just a chemical MOS in a different type of unit. So Carlos, any comments? Not really, man, but I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. And like I said, keep doing great things. Let's see. Are we able to take a book to read while at basic? Yeah, if it's your Bible or equivalent. Other than that, no, you're not allowed books at basic. I ship it on Monday, and I'm so excited. Thanks for all the videos. You've been very helpful. So I will add that you can bring a book with you, but it will remain in your personal bag until you get to AIT. And then once you're at AIT, you want to read your book in the evenings or weekends, have at it. You can definitely use it while you're in AIT, but not during basic training. If you direct message me, I can look it up and I can let you know, but I don't know at the top of my head, honestly. But yeah. It could help. It could hinder your process. So if you can try to control your stuttering. If it's minor, you should be fine. If it's minor and they catch it and they deem that a waiver should be submitted, then it's up to the chief surgeon general to decide on your waiver. But I've had a couple people in my 18 plus years recruiting experience that were denied due to stuttering or a speech impediment. Yes, I believe you asked this question before. You can get a second MOS throughout your career, and it's encouraged that you do. Justin says, I'm currently stationed at Fort Campbell. Any opinion on how to get a stamina up in a 4-mile run? 30-60s, high intensity interval training definitely will help you with your stamina. That's like the best way you could do it. 30-60s, 60-120s. That's the best way. And then obviously strength training. That will definitely help you as well. So Victor, although 2 miles is the minimum, we never do the minimum. If you train yourself to do 3 or 4, sometimes even more, you're conditioning your body, your stamina, your endurance, your strength, and all that stuff. So we always go above and beyond. If you're just doing the minimum, then how are you going to see growth and change and improvement in your overall performance? Justin says, standard here is 4 miles in 36 minutes for aerosol. Absolutely. Yep. And Jacob Wall says, is the Army National Guard basic training fun? It doesn't matter. Again, I don't know if you were here earlier when I was describing it, but whether you're Guard or Reserve or active duty, we all get the same training at the same locations. There's no difference. So in my opinion, basic training is fun and it sucks at the same time. That's all I got to say. All right. And let's see. Shania. Oh, that's old. I thought you posted a new one. It's showing up on my phone, but it's not showing up here. Here it is. So Shania Brown says, I got a 78 on the ASVAB and doing all the split training since I'm only 17 years old. Is it more difficult going in young? Also, your channel has been so helpful. Well, first of all, age is just a number. The issue a lot of times with younger folks like yourself, 17 to let's say 21, is a lot of young folks can be very or extremely immature, causing the rest of y'all in your platoon to get corrective training, like additional corrective training in addition to the normal corrective training. But if you're responsible, you're mature, you do what you're told, when to do it, how to do it in accordance with the standard, you've got nothing to worry about. Whether you're 17 years old or 35 years old, you'll be all right at basic training. But you scored very, very well for a high school student, I gotta say. For a high school junior to get a 78, amazing. Most high school kids I test today are in single digits or low 20s at best, or maybe even in the teens. And I appreciate your kind words about the channel. Thank you for supporting the channel. Appreciate it. Good luck in basic training this summer. And probably doing the split training option, so you can check out that video there if you want. And those of you that want to know what to expect at Army basic training, that's probably the biggest concern that people have, is not knowing what to expect. The fear of the unknown cripples people. Not knowing what to expect, how to prepare for it. So I just posted the link for my basic training mini series, which has videos that cover the overview of Army basic training, the old yellow phase, which you don't have to watch because that's not really a thing unless you're going to basic training in Fort Jackson. They're still doing the yellow phase. Everywhere else is not. But I also cover like I said, the overview, each phase, red, white, and blue. I break it down by day, week by week, phase by phase. I also have the graduation updates to COVID, the combatives training and pupils training, graduation, what to pack for basic training, how to prepare for basic training. The how to prepare for basic training is a great video for anyone who's shipping off to basic training, and I would definitely appreciate if you shared it with others. I talk about how to get to a basic level of physical fitness and provide a workout program downloadable in the description area. I talk about running tips. I talk about how to get promoted to private first class E3, family information, how to make sure that your family is set, how to set up automatic deposits and transfers for bills. I talk about all kinds of different things that will help you and your family members if you have a family throughout this process, because it's going to be stressful for the next 11 weeks of your life if you're going to basic training, and it could be pretty mentally exhausting. And then obviously the fear of the unknown can be addressed by watching this miniseries, knowing what it is that you're about to expect. But keep in mind that although you're watching what to expect, experiencing it is going to be totally different or could be totally different. So just keep that in mind. With that being said, if I did not get to your question tonight, I apologize. I appreciate you coming in here. Direct message me on Instagram at Team Swartz, and I promise you that within the next week, I will get to you, if not sooner, to address your question. You're very, very important to me. I love doing these live streams, these Q&As, and I know it can be pretty frustrating for some of you because I may not get to your question or I don't get to it fast enough. I really don't know how to move forward with this because as I'm growing on the channel, because my goal is to get to 100,000 subscribers. That's my own personal ego that I want to get to. That's just for me. But my mission, again, as previously described, is to help you all make a well-informed decision. And that's what this channel is all about. So I don't know what the solution is because I don't want you guys waiting for an hour for me to get to your question or wait for an hour for me not to get to it because I'm struggling to get to that first hour's worth of questions on the channel. You know what I mean? So if you guys have an idea of how I could do these live streams that help everyone, or maybe do more than one live stream per week, or should I set up, which I have already, like a paid members only portion? Not very many people has opted into it. The idea is that I do live streams on there where it would be more of a like a one-on-one Q&A session where it would be more intimate, where I respond to you faster, get your questions answered and addressed, maybe even bring you onto the live stream, maybe do like a private group live stream where we all get on at the same time, because I can add up to 9 members to this live stream and we have like conversations together. That's another option I was thinking about as well. And this is just food for thought, and any suggestions either in the comments or you could direct message me on Instagram would be grateful. I would be grateful for you to let me know what you think would be of great value to you as my viewer. And because my intent here is to help you out the best way I can. And I'm only one person. This is a hobby for me. I don't get paid to do this. I mean, I do make tips, obviously, because you've seen it, but like I'm not earning a paycheck for it, But yeah. With that said, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you very much. I will be here next week when I come back from vacation, and we will stream next week. Appreciate y'all. Be good. Stay blessed. Y'all have a good night. Do great things, and I will see you next week.